Hello guys, so I'm going to be doing a video of how I do my turmeric ginger and honey soap. This is my #1 seller, okay? This is my #1 seller on my site. Everybody loves it and I love it too. So this is how I make my turmeric ginger and honey soap. So in my container, I have some palm kernel oil, I have some coconut oil, I have some shea butter, and these are my hard butters and oils. And then I'm going to do the heat transfer method with the lye and the hard oils, and then I'm going to add my olive oil. Excuse my gloves, these are my husband's size and I ran out of my size, so I'm just gonna hope on a wish and a prayer that they do not move or slip off while I'm doing this. So I'm gonna get started with the heat transfer method. And basically all this is you're using the heat from the lime water solution to melt your hard oils and butters. Because this container is so big and I don't have any like melting tanks in my house, I just use this method to melt my oils and butters. So once this is all in, side, start stirring. We're not going to use the stick blender right here, right now. We're going to wait until the oils and butters kind of melt before we use the stick blender. And this might take a little while, so I'm gonna fast forward through this. Okay, so now that this is pretty much melted, there's still a couple pieces in there, but by the time I'm ready for it, they will be pretty much dissolved. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to measure out my liquid oil. And the only liquid oil that I use is olive oil in my formulas. So I just have to add the olive oil. Well, for this particular soap, I only use olive oil as the liquid oil. And just as a little secret, I get all of my olive oils from Sam's. I have not found a company yet that actually sells olive oil as cheap as Sam's. So if you guys are scaling your soap business and is looking for somewhere to purchase some really good quality olive oil, please don't hesitate to check your local Sam's, BJ's, Costco's, those type of places, because they definitely have it. This right here is about 100 ounces, 101 ounces, full ounces. And this was only, I think, 10 bucks, $10 or $11. I can't remember, something like that. Alrighty, so we have that. Move this off to the side. And now let me just double check and make sure all of the hard oils are dissolved. And yes, they are. So now it is time for us to add the liquid oils. And now let's stick blend. All right, so this is just a little past the emulsion. It's still at a very, 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 very light trace. Okay, so with my turmeric ginger and honey, I do a really, really simple drop swirl. So I'm gonna pour off a little bit of the soap batter for, okay, so this should be about good. And we're gonna push this off to the side. So let's focus on the turmeric part. So right here, I have a mixture. This is a concoction of turmeric, organic turmeric powder, ginger powder, and honey. And I just mixed it together to make like a concoction. And I'm just gonna add this to the big batch. And again, this is the turmeric powder, ginger powder, and honey. That. And this is still at extremely light. This is still at a super light trace. Super light trace. So I'm gonna move this over to the side. And now I'm just going to work on this batch. I'm gonna stick blend this up a little bit. Okay. So I'm gonna leave this in here. Now we're going to add the fragrance and essential oil blend to my soap batter. So we have some orange, we have some bergamot, we have some lemongrass. This right here is one of my absolute favorite scents. It smells so good. It's like, I don't know, it's just good. So we have the fragrance oil nice and incorporated in that one. And now we're going to do the main batch. Okay, so I'm gonna let this sit for a couple minutes because I kind of want it to set up just a little bit because I want the drop swirl to be nice and dramatic. So I'm gonna let this sit for like 3 minutes, and that might be a little generous. So it might be a little bit less than 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes per se, because I like for my drop swirls to be nice and dramatic, and I don't want this batch to kind of like merge with this one. So I'm gonna let it sit for a couple minutes, and then I'll be right back to drop swirl. I think it's ready. I just tested it. And with this, I'm just gonna go back and forth with the orange and the cream, the orange and the cream.
Say, just give me one today, boys. That's all I need. Well, there was a time in Cincinnati I said that, and it was put 6 in the top of the first, and I went out in the bottom of the first and gave up 5. After you said that, I can't believe they take me out of the game. Jody Davis, I came in, and I'm all hot and sweaty.
I'm gonna let this set up for a little bit, for like 3 to 5 minutes again. I'm gonna just let it get a little bit more hard, and then I'm going to texture the top. But this soap looks amazing, and it smells even better than it looks. Like, this smell is crazy. And this was a scent blend that I pretty much put together. So we're gonna let this sit for about 12 to 14 hours. I don't really like my soaps to sit too long. Only reason being is because I use over 50% hard oils and butters. So if I let this sit for 24 hours, it may break every single soap cutter I have. This soap, my formula, it gets extremely, extremely hard really fast. So I only let my soaps sit literally for like 12 to 16 hours. and then I'm ready to demold and cut. So I'm gonna let this sit for a few hours, and then I will be back with the soap cutting. Okay, so we are back, and this is my bar of soap, and it's ready to be demolded and cut. So that's what I'm going to do now. Yeah, so this slab mold my husband made. I think we were looking at purchasing a soap mold similar to this, and I believe it was like almost $200. But I told him, I'm like, yo, it's literally just a square. I'm pretty sure you can make a square. And that's what we did. We went and got some pre-cut pieces of wood from Home Depot, and he pretty much made this himself. And I believe it only cost us maybe $25, so we saved a lot of money in terms of that. The only downside is that this mold on the particular website, for that price, it came with a silicone liner, and that's the best thing ever, as opposed to lining these molds with the parchment paper. It kind of gets annoying, so you know. Let's see. But if you are handy, and if you have someone, or if you have someone who's handy, definitely, they're extremely easy to make, especially when you can get the pieces pre-cut from Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever your, hardware store is.